want you to meet Ray. He's an uninsured, oxygen-dependent farmer who suffers from severe chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. For the last few days, his wife has noticed that he's waking up with throbbing headaches. He's struggling with simple chores, and he's misplacing the tools that he's been using for years. The same witty, charismatic, and energetic man that she's known for decades is slipping away. After a brief visit from his home health nurse, he's advised to increase his oxygen. But what Ray, his wife, and even his nurse don't realize is that he's silently suffering from hypercapnia, a deadly but hidden disease that's actually worsened by increased oxygen. Within mere hours, Ray is rushed to the ER as he's fighting to stay alive. Ray is one of hundreds of thousands of patients across the United States with undetected hypercapnia, a COPD-induced disease where carbon dioxide is dangerously elevated in the bloodstream and if gone undetected can lead to severe, if not fatal outcomes. My name is Chai, and I aim to address this underlooked yet critical crisis in healthcare. And it's not just a medical issue. It's a $10 billion market that's expected to grow by 4.4% every year. From my own personal experience as a medical assistant right here in College Station, I've seen countless patients just like Ray, uninsured, without much medical history, coming in from faraway rural communities, confused about their symptoms, and ultimately going home without an adequate answer. Across over 30 different interviews with pulmonologists, respiratory therapists, patients, and reading countless patient testimonies and case studies, I found that over and over again, the issue of undetected hypercapnia is real and in need of urgent change. The early symptoms of hypercapnia, including headaches, shortness of breath, fatigue, and confusion, are easily overlooked, especially considering that many of these patients have underlying chronic illnesses like COPD. The current diagnostic tools are inadequate. The gold standard, the Arterial Blood Gas test, or ABG, is invasive, expensive, and can only be done in a hospital setting, creating a major barrier to healthcare access. Even with access, the ABG only provides a single snapshot of rising carbon dioxide levels. It fails to address the fluctuating nature of hypercapnia. For Ray, this meant that during his long ICU stay, he went through over 10 arterial blood gas tests, each time being poked in the arm, each one costing him $300, and each one only capturing a single moment of his rising carbon dioxide. Outside of the ABG, patients and nurses use pulse oximeters to read oxygen levels. They'll look at low oxygen levels and decide to increase oxygen intake, but this is actually detrimental for hypercapnia patients. You also have to realize that many of these patients come from rural communities. They don't have specialized healthcare. They have lower insurance rates, and they have lower healthcare literacy, placing them at an even greater disadvantage. Ultimately, these undetected symptoms rapidly progress into neurological, cardiovascular, and renal complications, and even respiratory failure. Now, outside of patients, this issue burdens the entire healthcare system. Without adequate ways to monitor and detect rising carbon dioxide levels, doctors are forced to be reactive. They can only step in once patient symptoms have spiraled into emergencies. Now imagine the countless hospitals across the US, overwhelmed by hypercapnia patients. With their resources and personnel strained, they are simply unable to care for other critically ill patients in the ICU. In fact, by 2029, it's estimated that there will be a $60 billion burden from hypercapnia-related hospitalizations. Ultimately, in the US today, there are over 1.7 million Americans suffering from COPD-induced hypercapnia. Of these, 30% are expected to die within the next year. And of those that survive, 80% will be rehospitalized. But I just want to focus on one patient. I want to focus on Ray. What happens if there's a better way for him to detect that his carbon dioxide is rising? Maybe he receives proper care from a pulmonologist or respiratory therapist. Maybe his symptoms never escalate. And maybe his story doesn't end in the ICU.